All right, welcome back to the bench, and today we've got the TID Radio TD-H8 version 3. So this is the third iteration of this model, and I don't really do HT YouTube videos, but I thought I'd start. And I picked up a couple of these in the last couple of weeks, and I've been really impressed with them, so I thought I'd do a video on one. And this isn't going to be a video about how to configure it. I'm sure there's other videos on YouTube you can watch that show that. Um, this is going to be just solely based on the radio's performance. So we'll look at power out, FM deviation, audio distortion. We'll look at the spectrum analyzer for spurious emissions, and we'll also look at receive sensitivity. So right now, let's just start with VHF. This is a UHF simplex channel I've got programmed in. I'm going to start with simplex 1 for VHF 146.520, and I'm using a homemade mic adapter here. This is just a Kenwood style plug, and it's going into a 4-pin plug here that interfaces to my bench. And then I've got a pick off this wire here that is a speaker output. So, and I've got a little portion of the insulation missing there, so I can hook up a speaker load if I choose to. And right now this is hooked up to the HP8920A, and we're just going to key it up and look at output power on VHF to start. And I'm also using a arbitrary waveform generator over here. The signal is 30 millivolts peak to peak, and it's a 1 kilohertz tone. And we're going to go ahead and key up, and we'll see what kind of power out. It says advertises a 10-watt radio, and there you go. There's 10 watts, and we've got 4 kilohertz of deviation. And let's take a look at the spectrum analyzer and see what it shows. Let's get our reference relatively close. There we go. And we'll go to a 20 kilohertz span. Very beautiful emission there. So looking nice. So now let's go to UHF simplex, and then we'll see what kind of power out we have there, and just repeat everything again. All right, we're going to key up. Radio's keyed, and we got 9 watts out, 4 kilohertz deviation. I'm sure the spectrum will look very similar, and it does. You know, it's funny. My friend had watched my video that I did on the Retivus MA1, and he texted and asked me, why did the spectrum look so distorted? And I had to go back and look at the video to figure out what he was talking about. And then I realized what I had done. So when I was showing the spectrum analyzer on the Retivus MA1 video, I was actually on a memory slot that I had configured for a repeater. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So let me go back to TX here on this radio. And instead of looking at our audio frequency here, let's look at distortion. So we're going to go up here, and we're going to set the distortion, and then we're going to, let's see, let's set this filter 300 hertz. All right, so now what we're going to do is look at, I'm going to just repeat that. We're just going to key up on this. Let's go back to VHF. VHF simplex 1, we're just going to key up the radio, 1 kilohertz tone, it's keyed up. And you see our distortion here is 1.1%, super low, right? And you know what the spectrum looks like. It looked very clean. But what I had done in the Retivus video was I was actually on a slot, memory slot configured for a repeater. And now, since this is configured for a repeater, the CTCSS tone is 123 hertz. So that's a non-harmonically related tone to the 1 kilohertz that I'm putting in through the mic jack. So those two tones together are creating a bunch of third-order intermodulation distortion. So now watch when I key up what happens to the distortion there in the bottom right. Watch this distortion. You see that? Now it's 12%. And if you go look at the spectrum, there you go. So that's just the two tones together creating all that distortion. And that by no means is a real-world scenario. That's never going to happen in real world. That's just happening here on the bench. The radio is super clean. So let me go back to, but I thought I'd just point that out. Thought that was interesting. When you mix those, any one of those CTCSS continuous tones to your a 1 kilohertz test tone frequency, that's what's going to happen. So let me get back to the VHF1 simplex. All right, now let's just look at this on the spectrum analyzer one more time. We're going to go out to full 1 gigahertz. And we're going to look and see if we see any spurious emissions and whether or not the radio meets Part 97 requirements. And there is our signal. And let's get our amplitude reference set properly. That's closer. And you see there's absolutely nothing out there all the way to 1 gigahertz. So, and these, radios, these Chinese radios tend to struggle on VHF, or a lot of them do. And this one is clean, clean, clean. We can do the same thing on UHF simplex frequency. We'll key up again and we'll just look and we'll see. There you go. And I think we're just catching, or we would be catching, the second harmonic out here at 900 something megahertz, and nothing. Clean as a whistle. So this radio definitely is super clean. All right, so now we'll just look at receive sensitivity. I've got the squelch disabled. Let's go to receive here, and we'll do a SYNAD test. What do we want to do? Let's set our level at minus 107 dB to start. And then what we'll do is we'll go up here to SYNAD, and we're going to go to average. Make it easier to read. And let's go down here to our frequency 146.520. And let me go back here, put the radio back on simplex 1. There we go. And you see, look at that SYNAD reading. So averaging 35 dB of SYNAD right now at 1 microvolt, which is just absolutely amazing. But let's drop that down to say minus 125 dB. Let's see what happens to our SYNAD reading. There it goes, dropping down. Just teetering at 12 dB of SYNAD at minus 125 dBm. So fantastic receiver. Just under 12. So it's teetering between 10.5, 11, 12 averaging. Minus 125 dB. Now I know some people like to use FM quieting as receive sensitivity measurement and gauge of receiver performance on an FM radio. So we can do that. We can set up. Let me grab a speaker load. Hold on. All right. So let me grab this here. We're going to hook this up. We'll hook up a speaker load here. And turn our volume up so you can hear it. So that's going to be our reference volume level. All right, speaker load is hooked up. And let's see if we can set this up for SYNAD. So first off, let's set our level to minus 136 dB. Let's shut off our, we don't want the RF generator to be modulating right now. And then let's get our reference level. So we're going to set reference set there. We're going to do it in dB. All right, so now we're set with that reference level, the audio out that I've got set right now. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start down here at 136, which we already are. And you hear all the noise. All right, now let's just bring this signal amplitude up and see when we get our 20 dB of quieting. How about minus 128? All right, so you see it got a little bit quieter. Now we're looking at about 7 dB there. Minus 125. 10, 12 dB. Minus 122. Getting a lot quieter. Minus 18, 19 almost. How about minus 120? There you go. There's your full quieting. There's your full 20 dB of quieting. It is at minus 120 dB. So I don't know, 6 of one, a half dozen of the other. I prefer using SYNAD, but some people like to see the FM quieting when it comes to FM receiver sensitivity, and now you see it. Now I'll just go ahead and just turn off the signal generator. You can listen to all the noise, all the hack and trash come back. There's all the hash and trash back on, minus 120 dB, full 20 dB of quieting. So yeah, I hope that helps out anybody that was looking at one of these version 3s to get. It's definitely a great radio. It's Part 97 compliant. It's got great power out, low distortion, low audio distortion. It's being produced, and it's got great receive sensitivity. So until next time, 73s.